Okay, so we are studying absolute value functions, and this is the parent function right here. So the parent functions, guys, normally does not have any transformation in it. Actually, not normally, always, doesn't ever, okay? So the parent function doesn't ever have absolute value. I mean, doesn't have transformations. Now, when we are put in HK form, meaning that you're going to see a lot more transformation. There's a value in the front called A, okay? If that's negative, it's going to open downwards. If it's positive, we open up. The H and the K right there, that's your translation up and down, left and right, okay? We'll go over more in details with that later. So we will start with example 1. Graph the parent function, y equals absolute value of x, okay? Now, this is the parent function, students. What value is the A? By the way, if you look at the HK form, the A is always in front of the absolute value. What is the A value if there's nothing seen? Sam? It is 1. A value is 1. What is the H value of the parent? Do we have any adding or subtracting inside? No, so what do we call it? 0. And then the K value, anything outside? No, so it is 0, okay? Now we're going to start with making a table, and then we'll talk about how we are going to graph this later. Absolute value, we will have 5 x values, and these are the 5 x values that we are going to use for the parent function. What's an absolute value of a negative 2? 2. Guys, absolute value makes everything positive. Absolute value of negative 1 is? Absolute value of 0. Absolute value of 1. And last one? Perfect. Let's plot it, okay? Negative 2, go up 2, negative 1, up 1, 0, 0. Okay, and then bust out your straight edge. It's a V shape. Okay, I want you to put arrows on the ends, okay? Where is the vertex? Where's the vertex? 0, 0. Remember, guys, the vertex is the lowest or the highest point. In this case, it's the lowest point because it's opening up. That's a vertex, and it's 0, 0. Now, it's always your h, k value because it's the parent function. H and k are both what? 0. Now, this is the term axis of symmetry, students. Axis of symmetry is a line. I am asking you to graph it using a dashed line in your homework and your notes. It's a line, students, that if we were to fold on it, the left and right will be exactly the same. And we use it AOS, axis of symmetry. So where is this line at? On the y-axis, but we have to write it as an equation. So it's going to be x equals to what? 0. It is the h value. Okay, so guys, axis of symmetry is always x equal to whatever h value it is. Now let's talk about the rate of change. Rate of change is really, really fancy for what? Slope, yeah, aka slope, okay? Okay, so now, what do you think the slope is? 1. Can you see this line on the right? Is that a positive 1? Yes, this is a positive 1 slope. What's the line on the left? Negative 1. So students, every single absolute value will have 2 slopes. They're both what? 1, but they're going to be plus and minus 1. Okay, we have 2 slopes for each one. Now, these right here, we're going to study them in 2.7. But that's all we got to do for that one. Now, we're going to fill this out. What would you say the shape of an absolute value? What shape is it? V, okay? V shape. What is it made of? So if you look at it, what is it made of? What is it made of? Look at the V. What does it look like? Two rays, right guys? It's joined by two rays, okay? Two rays or lines. I'll even do lines, okay? Yeah, because we have a slope that's just straight up, two rays meeting up at the vertex, okay? Okay, then next you guys have this blank box here. Go ahead and fill this out. Steps to graph an absolute value function. So these are all the ones that go ahead and write it in, and then we'll read it out later, okay? It says here, find all the characteristics. We will do this in section 2.7. Sophia, can you help us read the first step? Yeah, find the vertex, and guys, it's always H comma K. Grace, can you help us read number 2?
Graph the vertex and axis of symmetry.
Good. Graph both. Okay, so plot your vertex. Now, axis of symmetry, I do want you to use a dot or dash line. Step number 3. Can you please help us read step number 3, Cindy?
Number 3? Determine if the graph opens up positive A value or down negative A value.
Anna Sophia, can you graph us number 4?
Graph the slope to the right.
Graph the slope to the right. Ethan, can you help us read number 5? Good. And then Annalise, can you help us read 6?
Find all the
Defining.
defining characteristics.
Good. So we'll wait for you guys to get that done. Okay, if we go too fast, just let me know. We have 2 more examples and that's it. We've got short. All right, let's do it. Ready? Examples 2 to 3. Cameron, can you help us read the instruction, please?
Wait, could you repeat that?
Just read the instruction.
Graph and find all defining characteristics.
Thank you. All right, here we go. Y equals negative 3/4 times the absolute value of x plus 1, close it up, plus 5. A equals, what's our A value? Not 1 in this example. What is the number in front of the absolute value symbol? Negative 3/4. Now, students, the negative will make it opens how? Up or down?
Down.
Down. Opens down. So we will have a V-shaped graph opening downward. What's the H value? This is tricky. Okay. Can you guys remember? I'm going to roll up, okay? Can you guys see our HK formula? It's always A times X minus H and then plus K. Okay, I'm going to write that back down here. So if we have, students, okay, if we have Y equals A times X minus something plus K. What is the something that goes in there so we can have a negative 1? I mean, so we can have a positive 1. I just gave you the answer. Negative 1. Does that make sense so far? So that means our H value is what? Negative 1. Can you see that this sign right here, whatever that is, it's the H is always the opposite sign? Does it make sense why the H has to be an opposite sign? Okay. So this one, H is going to be negative 1. Because the H and the K will make up your what? Your vertex. What's the K value? K is 5 because we don't need to do an opposite. All right. So that means, students, we have the vertex right away. It is what comma was what? Negative 1 comma 5. Okay. Axis of symmetry. It's always x equals for this one. And remember, if you look at the parent function, it's the x equals h. And what is the h value? Negative 1. The rate of change is very, very fancy for slope. Okay, fancy for slope. All right. And so what is the slope? Negative 3/4 and also positive 3/4. Whatever the A value is, that's our slope. And that's a plus and minus. Okay. Now step 1 says, graph what and what? Graph your vertex. We have the vertex. Let's plot it. Negative 1 of 5. In addition to vertex, what else are we graphing? Axis symmetry. Axis symmetry is x equal to what? Negative 1. So that is right there. Okay. Then step number 2 says what? What does it say? You have it in your notes. Can you read it for us? What's the next step? We just wrote down 6. Graph the, okay, we graph the vertex and axis symmetry. Step number 3? Okay, opens up or down? Down, we said that. Step number 5 or 4? Slope, all right. So we have the slope from that vertex, okay? Oh, by the way, one of my students said, oh, well, I don't want to write plus or minus. Can I write it twice? Is this okay to write still? Yeah, that's the same, okay? You can do plus or minus 1, or then you can write it out twice like that, okay? So, from the vertex, our slope is negative 3/4 and positive 3/4. So you can go down, how many? 3. Run to the right, how many? 4, okay? You can go 1, 2, 3, run 4. Do it a couple times to make sure your line's straight. Okay. And then you do the other side. Go down, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. You have a straight edge, bust it out. Can you go beyond the vertex, guys? No, don't go past, okay? And then arrows, arrows. We do not need to find those right now. We will save that for later. Is it pretty easy? Yeah, let's go do example 3. Last example of today's notes. I'll wait for you guys if you want to fill out the A equals, the H equals, the K equals, go ahead and do that. Confirm with your neighbors before you move on, okay? Fill out A equals, H equals, and K. Check with your neighbors before we move on. Okay, so A equals what? 3. Sure? 2. Opens up or down? Up. Okay. All right. H equals 3. K equals -9. Beautiful. That means we should be able to do the vertex immediately. Okay. So Farah, what is the vertex immediately? 3 comma. Yes, 3 comma -9. Make sure your parentheses are there. Axis of symmetry, Jacob G. What are we writing next to axis of symmetry? Yes and no. X equals a 2. Guys, if X is not there, you can't get credit. So X equals a 2. Rate of change is very fancy for slope. So Sam, what do we write next to rate of change?
Positive and negative 2.
Positive -2. I'm sorry, X equals to 3 for X is symmetry, right guys?
Yeah.
Sorry. That was supposed to be an H value. Sorry, axis symmetry is always the H. Okay, we have everything. Let's go. Oh, by the way, you can write or, and you want to write this out twice for the slope? Yes, you can. You don't have to. Just pick one and go with it. Okay? All right, start with the vertex. Plot it for me. Once you're done plotting, Courtney, what quadrant is the vertex in? Quadrant 1, which is this guy. Quadrant 2, which is this guy. Quadrant 3 is this guy. Quadrant 4. So Courtney, when you plot your vertex, where is it in? Quadrant 4. Let's see. 3, -9. Perfect. Good job. Remember, guys, axis of symmetry is right on it. Okay. The slope. Lonnie, what are the slopes again? 2. Good. If I don't have a denominator, what is it always? 1. So if we use 2 first, we can go up 2, right 1. Up 2, right 1. Up 2, right 1. Okay. I normally do a lot of dots because I want my line to be straight. Remember, you can also have a -2 slope. So up 2, left 1. Up 2, left 1. Up 2, left 1. Okay. And then bust out my ruler. And then that's it. This will be saved for later. That's the end of our notes.